right. Hello, everybody. This is Tom Randall from GoldenCare. I want to welcome you again to this webinar today. We're really pleased to have the opportunity in this Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative to do a bunch of webinars. I think Dennis and I are doing 30 webinars in 25 days, and we're probably smack dab in the middle of that today. So it's been our pleasure, and we've really enjoyed it so far. And I've been in this market for 27 years here at GoldenCare, and I've had the privilege and honor and an opportunity to work next door to Dennis here for pretty much all those years. So Dennis and I have had the opportunity to help design plans, and we've had the opportunity, to both of us go out and not only train agents, but do a lot of live webinars in front of, or live seminars. It's hard to get that verbiage right. Live seminars in front of a lot of consumers over the years as well. So if you are on this site today, we're going to talk about the True Freedom Plan. I tell you what, we're really excited about it, and it's a great opportunity. And Dennis, I'm going to turn it over to you to start out because we have a special guest today.
Yeah, we do. We've got Chen Randall. Chen is Director of Chief Administrative Officer for True Freedom. And Chen, say hello to everyone on the call. And
hi, everybody. Good to have you all with me today.
Yeah, glad that you could take time out of your busy schedule. Chen has been very instrumental in helping us behind the scenes as far as the things that we need to do to navigate the True Freedom offering. And so I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to connect because True Freedom, the company behind it is ASSI, and Chen's been there, what, from day one?
From day one.
That's like 16 plus years. So she knows every aspect of the business, and we'll have Chen jump on as we go through this webinar in a couple different sections to kind of offer some of her expertise. But I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tom. And I know that you might feel like I get tired of you doing some of these intro slides with the statistics, but they're so darn important, and repetition is so important that agents continue to get this into their veins as well.
You bet. Thanks, Dennis, and welcome, Chen. For you on the call, and if you've been on our other webinars, you know most of these we do start out with this slide. And again, most of the time this is more for agents. I just want agents to understand how big of an issue it is, because a lot of agents might be selling other products like Medicare, final expense, or whatever it may be. And we're trying to rally the troops to say, don't kid yourself. There's a lot of gray hair in America. And you know what? If you look at the statistics, they just don't change. 70% of people out there over age 65 are going to require some type of extended care, especially when you're talking about these short-term care and home care plans. They're going to use a lot of that home care especially. And it's one of those things that's so important, because if they don't get the information from you, you can see that second stat there, 90% of adults have never had a real discussion about long-term care planning. So we really have to talk to people. We can do just great wonders for people at claim time. They're going to thank you for it. And if you can step out of your comfort zone just a little bit, Dennis and I on the other webinars, when we talk about starting the conversation and talk about how to make the sales and educate people, we'll show you just how easy that is to do. So that last slide on there is obviously one that just was a COVID related slide. That's probably the only good thing that came out of COVID in the nation, is that it has given rise to the fact that people need to plan ahead. They want it. They know long-term care is they're a little closer to it, realizing that, you know what, I don't really want to go to a facility. I want to try to get some home care or something so I can stay out of that facility as long as possible. So again, we go deeper into this in some of our other trainings, but it is something that's really important. And today I'm going to get to stand back a little bit and let these folks do their thing, because there's a lot of great information. And the last thing I'm going to tell you about this plan before I turn it back over to Dennis, and I'll jump in at certain times, as you guys know, our MO on these trainings is True Freedom. You know, one of the biggest abilities of any plan out there is the availability. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And if you've been on any of our other trainings, you know, when we show those maps, there's always those states that are a little bit like, California, Minnesota, they just, in a lot of Northeast states, they don't allow some of the insurance plans for short-term care or home care. So that's where this plan is number one. It's great everywhere, but it's really nice to know that we have all 50 states covered, and just about anybody you might be sitting in front of or across the internet from, that you have the ability to help them. So Dennis, I'm going to turn it right back over to you and let you steer, and I'll jump around and steer the boat over here.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Tom, and thanks again, Chen, for joining us. And you know, you've seen the map before that we've showed on the home care only plans. We didn't put it up this time, but certainly on some of our past webinars, and as Tom said, even the short-term care plans. But you know, your care, your choice, your independence. I mean, people, they want to age in place. I saw a statistic that said that from AARP that 80% of people said they'd rather remain at home. And a little bit later in our time together, we're going to show you a 2-minute video that's actually designed for your consumer to see. But the key is, these are all some of the concerns: becoming a burden to their family, losing independence, not having access to quality care. Some people wait too long to plan, and they have to react to that problem. And family members get kind of thrown into the mix, and they have to set aside their own lives out of love. They're certainly there, but it's certainly not their first choice. And we know that also with aging Americans, that it could be that there's they're dealing with the family members who are caught in that trap of the sandwich generation, where they're trying to raise their own kids and now finally see that they are forced into helping mom or dad, and protecting income and assets and avoiding, you know, having to spend down and end up on government assistance is certainly great motivation why people want to plan ahead. And Tom already covered the next statistic about that 70%. And when we say some form of care, we don't know. We know that there's some numbers out there that show about 50% of care, upwards to 50% of care, is for less than 1 year. But you know, still, the cost of care is pretty darn high. And on a previous webinar that we did this morning, we went into great lengths. But here's the real reality, and why True Freedom has a great play for you when you're out talking to your clients, is that 80% of mature Americans 65 plus already have one chronic condition, which means chances are, if they're in that 65, 70, 75, they've either been priced out of or underwritten out of other solutions, including sometimes our short-term care solutions, and certainly our long-term care and asset-based or hybrid type solutions as well. And so you need to be a problem solver, and we talk about this. And so the custodial services that True Freedom offers are right here, and Chin could speak to that and maybe talk about some utilization as far as what they see, but I'm sure it's all over the map as far as the types of services that people need help with: meal planning, grocery shopping, the dressing, the bathing, the toileting, the light housekeeping, even going on to doctor visits and more. So that is something to keep in mind as far as what this True Freedom plan will actually do for your clients. And we'll get into the mechanics of how that plan works in just a moment. But the most important thing, Tom, I think, as we go on here is to talk about how important it is, again, to make sure that we're having this conversation. Tom talked about that earlier, that we're bringing this up, and as you survey that situation that your client is in front of, their goals, their objectives, their budget, their health, as Tom indicated, the availability of your options, you need to know that you have an option for all 50 states. And that's what True Freedom brings to us, is whether your client's in California or Florida or New York or Minnesota or Washington, states that typically in the past have been very problematic as it relates to having these other solutions. So Chen, maybe take a moment, and if you wouldn't mind, because obviously you put together this statement. This came from you. So would you just explain a little bit of maybe and talk within this mission statement about just how long True Freedom's been around, and then we'll go on and we'll continue with the presentation.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the True Freedom started in February of 2008, and I've been with them ever since, even before we got incorporated. We designed the True Freedom Home Care Plan because we see there is a gap in the product, and we want to be able to serve the senior mature Americans with some dignity and lots of choices in all 50 states. So we want our clients to have the true freedom to choose to be able to remain in the home as they age in the comfort of their home, aside from the traditional insurance product. And that was our goal, was to come up with something different and alternative. to cover everyone across the 50 states.
That's great. And, and we like to talk about this being a service contract. And so we think of it as being membership, not so much of, and we think of it as an enrollment versus an applicant or an insured. And much like AAA, correct, Chen? That it's, it's a membership that the clients become part of to gain access to the home care hours.
Correct. It's a service contract. It's not insurance, like a AAA membership type.
And, one of the things that Tom will get into and maybe even show a little bit later is, again, why there's no medical underwriting. It's only suitability. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the suitability. But right now, just to let you know, it's as long as that client's living independently and is not having difficulty with their ADLs or activities of daily living, they're eligible. And here's the thing. There is two sides to the True Freedom. There is an individual side where there's only a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And so if an agent who's listening in picked up the phone and called True Freedom, all they would hear about would be the individual plan. Only on invitation only do we have what we call our affinity version of this. And so because you are part of the family on this call and your partners, the marketing organization that you're doing business through is part of our family, we're treating this group special. And so we were able to co-brand materials where we're offering an exclusive 10% member discount. And Tom, you may want to speak to that about how important discounts are, and then I'll go through and talk a little bit about the plan options here and explain that a little bit further.
Yeah, you bet. This is one of the things that's just, we're really excited about the fact that you have a lot of discounts. We're going to show you a couple slides that talk about how these discounts stack on top of each other. And, I can't stress enough, this is something, True Freedom, I've been a fan of this plan for quite a while. And even as a big agency, you remember we wrote $1 billion worth of long-term care in the day, and we write a lot of the short-term care, and we're kind of leading the pack moving into the short-term care arena. And so obviously True Freedom hits closer to home now with what we're doing, but I've always loved it for the fact that when you start looking at these plans, and I know you're drinking out of a fire hose the first time you're seeing this if you haven't seen it before, but these are just huge, huge deals. It's pennies on the dollar for what you're paying for. So even though this isn't an insurance plan, this is one of those things that you can end up saving so much money for your clients by planning ahead. So again, I can't stress that enough about the availability of it and the simple underwriting. So you throw the net so wide that you can get this plan for almost anybody that you're going to be sitting in front of. And the nice part about the discounts is Dennis has worked real hard, and Chen's been just really instrumental in putting together these wide discounts for different payment plans and for having a loyalty discount we'll talk about, and also for this affinity discount that I'm going to let Dennis go into the detail on the affinity side of it. But I tell you what, it's a very nice opportunity for you. And if you're the marketer who got you on this call isn't already set up with True Freedom, give them a nudge, and we can make sure that we make that happen for you, because it's going to be something you're going to be glad you have in your portfolio. Go ahead, Dennis.
You bet, Tom. And that 10% member discount comes when you're able to pass it on. So if you have a Medicare client that does business with you with Humana or United Healthcare, whoever the company is, you're going to be able to offer that client a special additional 10% member discount that's not available on the individual plan side, as I was just talking. And that comes with no comp reduction to you. So that is hats off to Chen and the team over at ASSI that we've worked very closely with to provide that for us in a special way. And so you can see here going all the way down to the lowest plan, which again doesn't exist on the individual side. That's a base plan of 600 lifetime hours. And we'll get into pricing here in just a moment. And we equate that in terms of a value, if you were to put a retail value associated with it of $16,800. And then you can see the bronze with 1,500 lifetime hours, and silver, gold, and platinum. And Tom, I think what we'd like to do next is just not to get too deep in the weeds here on all the discounts and all the pricing, because all of this is available to you. And Tom's going to show us a little bit later on the call a special site that we've created that has all this information. But if we go forward and look at kind of this on a 5-year basis, and we can pick up, and you can see here, we're talking about if someone's paying monthly, what that monthly rate looks like. And Chen, I know because you and I worked very closely when we were putting together this discount formula here to share, you may want to just speak to just across the board about how strong those discounts are. And Tom already alluded to the loyalty discount as well.
Yes, for when you're looking at a year 5 for partner discount is 60% on a monthly, and you get to keep that 60% discount off the retail price as long as you do not activate services. Let's just say you keep it for 7-8 years, you will be able to maintain that platinum plan, 10,000 lifetime hours, only $190 a month if you're enrolling with a partner. The loyalty discount is we reward them because we want them to be able to plan ahead for the future. So we want to give them the loyalty discount to help them maintain that sense of security, that plan for when they do need it in the future. We do also offer, I know it's going to probably be the next slide would be the additional 5% annual discount. So for the affinity program, not only are you getting the 10% exclusive affinity discount, but if you enroll annually, you will save additional 5%. Let's just say with the affinity, you and your partner enrolled that platinum plan, and the 5th year and on, we're looking at a total discount 65%. So a monthly equation is $166,025 to maintain the 10,000 lifetime hours. The discount is massive, and on the customer's level.
Absolutely, Chen. Thanks. And remember how that's the beauty of this plan. It was very, very put together really well because of the fact that they throw the underwriting net so wide. And I can't use the word underwriting because it's not actually an insurance product. But it was a really brilliant way that they put it together to say, we do want people to plan ahead. So they offer this, what they call a loyalty discount. And basically that's just what you'd expect it is. It's a very smart way to tell people, plan ahead, get this sooner rather than later. It'll be there for you in year 1 with all the power you'd expect, but you'll save premium dollars throughout the years if you don't use the plan. So it's a really smart way to put it together. Thanks, Chen.
And when you look at those discounts, it is you want to make sure, and again, as Tom said, there's no underwriting. So but I still want you to think of yourself as a field underwriter in the sense that we want to make sure that we're not having people that buy it today and necessarily just always use it tomorrow. We know circumstances do exist where they would use it tomorrow, but the idea if they can plan for the future. And know that they continue to get that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th year, that 10% loyalty discount or a cumulative of 40. And remember that 5% discount is really strong. And True Freedom is, when Tom and I've talked about plan design on an earlier webinar, and we talked about how the application process is so simple with our short-term care and some of the standalone home health care. This is also a very simple, we're talking a 2-page enrollment form, and your client can also, if they choose to pay annually, can pay with a credit card. So it makes it pretty darn easy for someone to pick a plan and find affordability. And one of the reasons why we built that base plan going all the way down to 600 hours for initial retail of as you can see, $468 a year, is we wanted to make sure that it would be a plan for any budget if you had clients who were budget restrictive because of the MA. But you can see how important it is for them even to step up with those discounts to go to a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And Tom, maybe at some point, I know we have a visual that shows kind of a summary about how long these plans would last based on utilization. And I don't know if you can pull that up real quick, and then we'll go on and talk a little bit about the claim exposure. Okay, perfect. So here you can see again the retail price, not factoring in that example of the discounts, but how many hours, and then you can look at utilization. And so Chen, I know again because we work closely, and you've worked closely with the team here at GoldenCare to do that. It's pretty impressive when you think about how long a plan could last, right? When you look at from the base all the way to the most benefit-rich offering of 10,000 hours because someone really maybe has a history of of lengthy home care with a family member and they want to make sure that they can age in place for a long period of time. Would you want to just jump in and just take a second and give your input on this?
Sure.
Yeah, and Chen, sorry to interrupt. I have the 11th year up, and I know there's a 5th or 6th year too. I don't know which you prefer to speak about, so I can jump to either one.
I mean, we can talk the 11th one. The 5th, the 5-year was probably the most norm, as far as utilage is concerned. So, you know, we took this model where we're looking at up to 25 hours a week of usage. So we calculate out how long would it take for a particular plan to exhaust their lifetime hours. So basically the base plan will take you about 2 years, even though it's only 600 lifetime hours, you're able to be covered for 2 years using 25 hours a week. And the platinum plan, it'll literally last you 10 years if you're utilizing the 25 hours a week. So we map this out to show the consumer that, with the loyalty discount, the non-usage discount, when you use up on the 5th year, on the 6th year, when you started utilizing care, let's just stay with the platinum plan, it's going to take you 10 years to use up the 10,000 lifetime hours. What the consumers actually paid in is about 65,000, just under 66,000. But what they're getting out of it at the current national average hourly rate is $28 per hour. So the platinum plan, is valued at 280, and the value only is going to keep growing up as the inflation increases. Meanwhile, rate stays the same. So the consumer is literally only spending less than 66,000 getting a $280,000 plan. And the savings that particular consumer would be having is over 214,000. So this is just in keeping it for 5 years and then start utilizing care. So people want to say like, well, why should I need to buy it now? Well, you need to buy it now to have that plan in place. So when you do need it, you have it. And we want to be able to show the average about 5 years, what it looks like.
And, in the previous example that Tom had, that we don't have to go back to, Tom, this showed if they had paid in for 10 years and they started the claim on the 11th year. The point is that sometimes because it's a membership and it's not insurance, people don't really see the value proposition. And that's what we're really trying to show, is that there's still some darn good leverage that can associate this. When you look at the number of cents on the dollar, 24 cents on the dollar for that platinum plan, that's pretty good, versus the client paying dollar for dollar if they had to come out of pocket. With a plan or without a plan, you can see, without a plan, they're retaining that risk 100%. With a plan, they're using the power of leverage of having the true freedom. Tom, did you have another point on that before we move on?
No, sorry, jump back, but again, the pennies on the dollar is the key with it. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is that any way you slice this, I mean, you wouldn't show that spreadsheet unless you're really deep in a conversation with your clients. But for you as an agent, that's half the battle to me, is for you as the person proposing this type of coverage. We have all this stuff available on the site that you'll see. And it is nice just to be able to feel comfortable saying, you know what, I'm really doing a service for my client here, because anytime you can get down where you're saying you're paying 14 cents on the dollar or 24 cents, whatever it is, it's a great deal for your client to plan ahead. And again, you're going to see as we go through this presentation that they have a great network, and it's half the battle when you need help in a family is to find somebody to help you. And that's one of the nice things that True Freedom brings as well. So that's all I really need to say on that.
Well, Chen, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Thank you, Tom. And we talked a little bit about this idea of the non-medical care, the custodial services. And I was asking about utilization, and you probably see it all over the map because I know you monitor and you're close to the claim side of this. But this, if you wouldn't mind, just talking about how that usage pattern is, and then Tom will go on and talk next about kind of the network, and let Chen pick up that. And we want to make sure that that we get to a couple other points, and we want to show this 2-minute video. So Chen,
Sure.
Just maybe talk a little bit about what you see from and I also know that we're going to talk a little bit about the usage a little bit later. So maybe just Tom, we can go on and talk right now about the agencies, and then Chen, come back and we'll talk about that when we're talking about the 2 different ways that people can trigger their claim.
Sure. So what you're seeing right now is just some of the bigger names that most consumers recognize for home care agencies. We have many corporate accounts. When we first started out, of course, in 2008 was an uphill battle trying to get our network of home care agencies, built up. Now we're to the point where the big names are coming to us asking, we want in. How do we become network providers for you? So, the table has turned for us, which we're very proud of. Synergy is the third largest home care agency in the nation. And we work so well with them. We have great relationship. Well, we have great relationship with all of them, but it's the fact that they're at our fingertips at any time when they have new locations, and they're constantly evolving and adding locations. So our network is vast, but the fact that is, I can't fit everything in. So we have network home care agencies on the corporate level, as well as mom and pop and home care agencies across the nation, but we have coverage in all 50 states.
And I will just tell you, because I've worked with Chen on some very special claim situations where it's been a rural market and they've had to kind of do something that might be unusual. They're very flexible. And this slide speaks to really, again, the situation where how fast there's not care coordination like you think of with long-term care, where they've got to get a third-party vendor to come out. It's really just calling that toll-free number. And remember, in order to trigger the benefit, it's not 2 out of 6 ADLs or a cognitive impairment. It's just the fact that they need help. And they tell you if they need help, and they can then select how they want to receive care. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But, that 72 hours is just contractual. But Tom, I was just just going to say that I remember a story that, and Jen, you may recall this, where we had the client that was in Hawaii. Yep. And I think it was, as I recall, I think it was a fracture of their arm.
Yes.
And here, not only did you have to, jump through hoops to get the care started, but you did it all within like 24 hours, as I recall.
We did. Many times we're able to get the care the same day, done the next day, but contractually 72 hours. When they call us, it's our priority to make sure they're serviced.
Let's speak a little bit about the anytime hours and the agency hours. And again, if you'll go back on that True Freedom on the anytime hours here with that list of providers that you talked about, just how many hours a day, and just so everyone kind of knows the rules. And again, this is not designed to be completely exhaustive on the product side. We're going to provide you also an 8-minute video that's a product training video that will be on the site that you can go back and refer to as well.
Sure. The agency hours is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like banker's hours, no weekends or holidays. Now, anytime hours is a lot more flexible. I mean, it could be living 24/7 care any day of the week, overnight, whatever it is that the care that you need. And that's the difference between anytime hours. And you can use agency hours for one, and then switch back to anytime hours. So there's a lot of flexibility for our members to utilize their benefits to fit their needs.
And again, it's not family members, but it's a friend or neighbor, and you use a third-party biller for that, correct? And would you say on average, I know it's based on the state and what the minimum wages are, but would you say on average it's about half of whatever the agency would have charged is what the friend or neighbor gets paid?
Yes, it would be half. Anywhere from right now we're mostly averaging about $15 to $17 per hour for the friend and neighbor. And we do use a third-party payroll, and that's paid once a week on Fridays, direct deposit. The network home care agency invoices are paid weekly on Thursdays, every Thursday.
In fact, I'm sorry, Tom, I was just going to make a point here, and then I'll let you jump back in. But on the site, I think we actually have that synergy video, and Chen, because of just how strong your paying ability is when it comes claim time. I love this expression that Synergy said about True Freedom. They called it what?
We're the gold standard paying claims because they have some nightmare situations dealing with insurance, filing claims with us. They send us an invoice Thursday morning. That afternoon, checks cut in the mail.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom. I'll let you jump back in.
No, and I know we're pushing, not pushing time, but I don't want to take up more time. But I can't stress enough. This is one of the things I've loved about True Freedom. And the anytime hours, that's big. That's really big because we know the power of cash because of our experience with long-term care with Mutual of Omaha having cash, and now with our Manhattan Life having the cash in the short-term care plan. People love the fact that they can have the friends or neighbors helping out. So that's a big deal. And I got a feeling that that's something that can really turn heads with this type of plan as well, is having the flexibility to do it. Even though it pays a little bit less than what the agency may, which makes sense, it's still something that's very, very nice for people to have in their back pocket. So
thanks, Tom. The next two visuals we're not going to get into too deep because I want to draw your attention to the product training. But the way actuarially this product has been able to exist for the last 16 plus years. This is are we in the 17th year? I've lost track. 2008.
Yes, we're going into our 17th year.
Is that whatever plan you select, it's broken down into 10 equal bundles, if you will. So if Chen was using that example previously on the Platinum, if you take 10,000 hours and divide it by 10, that's breaking it down into 1,000 hours for each bundle. And once you go through a bundle, then you go into what is called it's like a donut hole, if I could use a Medicare term, a 90-day waiting period. Now, remember, you're still paying premiums just as much the same way you'd pay your health insurance premiums, but and there is no elimination, but there is that opportunity that during that time where you can either self-pay or have a family member or some other form of informal care that's provided. But in order to make sure that actuarially that this plan never has had a run on rates, this rejuvenation has been kind of the secret sauce to making this thing work so effectively. And on the 91st day, if that client is still needing services, it starts back up automatically, doesn't it, Jen? There's no glitch when it comes to them returning to service after the rejuvenation.
Not at all. It automatically reloads, and the client can choose to continue care, or they can save the hours for future need.
All right. So also you can keep that membership, you keep it paid up, obviously, because and once you actually have exhausted all your hours, then your plan ends, and there's no other value or coverage that you would have. But also keep in mind that when we showed that plan selection of the base, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, you can always downgrade, but you can never upgrade. So keep in mind when you're trying to find suitability for what fits that client's budget, and you may be thinking that you're leaning more towards a base plan, if you stretch them to a bronze plan and they start off with bronze, they always can go back down to base, but they can't go the other way because of just the putting the carrier in a situation that people may want to suddenly upgrade to a 10,000 platinum plan once they know that they need service, and it's not fair to the carrier, and so it's fair for your clients to understand how it works with the bundles. That 8-minute product training does a good job of helping to explain that, and once your plan is done, you're not allowed to purchase another plan in the future. But very quickly on the enrollment, Tom, that we can speak to, and we'll have time then to go to the site and also go to the video. That's how easy it is from a suitability standpoint. Are you able to be left at home alone, live independently? Basically, it doesn't matter if a family member that individual lives with, but can they operate on their own, and are they not ADL deficient? And really, there is no medical underwriting. It is simply the suitability, and the enrollment is, again, like Tom had gave a word of caution about the importance of planning ahead. It's important that people, get this, because sometimes circumstances can happen, unforeseen, unexpected, and boy, they're saying to themselves. And I had a family member experience myself with my in-laws, and for years, my brother-in-law, who's been in the business, he's in our business. He's a very significant player as a financial advisor. And I said to him for years, I said, hey, you may want to get, I won't mention the names, but our in-laws are necessarily taken care of. And he said, oh, no, Dennis, no, don't worry. I live close by to them. It's the same, I'm hearing from him the same objections we hear from clients that as agents that you hear, that no, my sister, of course, she lives close by too, will be able to be there. And sure enough, when he had the opportunity, because they were getting up there in age, because remember, there's no age limit with this plan, they did not move forward. And it's kind of a sad situation, because it only took my father-in-law to have a fall that brought him into a hospital. They had to go to a skilled nursing home to recover. He ended up getting COVID. It was very, very difficult. And then my mother-in-law, who actually was starting to need some help as well, they brought her into his own house. And here it is, not to be too dramatic on this story, but it's she's walking the house, and at 4 a.m, coming into their bedroom, and all kinds of things that you never plan on when you are not in a situation where you think your kids are out of the house and you're just kind of living their best life, and here they are back in and having to monitor my mother-in-law, because she was not able to really be left on her own. And so remember, Medicare is not going to cover these homemaker services, and Medicare was never intended to pay for long-term care or for home care. And so it's important to plan ahead. And the nice thing I like, Chen, about this plan is how simple it is from an enrollment standpoint. And you may want to speak about the fact of how they can transact business, whether it's the e-app, and then also how the client gets this information.
Sure. Yeah. We have digital e-app online, provided by DocuSign. And as soon as all the signatures are received from a sales agent as well as a consumer, a field issue contract is emailed automatically to the agent and to your client, as well as True Freedom for processing. Now, if you do prefer paper app, we do have that availability. You just have to print it. But the digital e-app is very simple. It should only take a couple of minutes to complete. And it's like Dennis said earlier, it's 2 pages. And the most information is actually the application page: name, address, phone number, what plan do you want, how do you want to pay, and that's it.
And then that card that comes out is mailed, 2-3 weeks after they got
Yes, we say within 30 days of enrollment. We use a vendor out in Salt Lake, Utah. It's they will mail it directly to the member, and it's like just a number 10 envelope, welcome letter with a detachable card, because there's no policy to issue. That email contract is the quote unquote policy.
It's great.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead,
so
Dennis.
Tom, back over to you. I think you were going to take them to the site and maybe show that video, and you probably had a couple other points you wanted to make as well.
You bet. Real quick, I just want to stress for those here on the phone and for recording purposes is that, the rejuvenation thing, don't get freaked out by that, because the couple things I'm going to show you when we get into the site is, number one, availability. Remember, it's in all 50 states. Sometimes you won't have other options to help people. Secondly, the underwriting or the suitability is so loose that you're going to be able to get just about everybody involved when they won't have other options besides. And even without all that, if you look at this, remember, look at this screen here. And again, I'm not going to dive deep again, but even on the base plan, if you use that, and remember, it breaks it apart in 10 increments of 60 hours, but it takes 2 years to use up that membership only, 3 years here, 4 years here with the silver plan, the 10 years. So that's a positive. And even these smaller ones are positives, because people that we're working with all the time realize that there might be a case where, boy, I'm going to need custodial care for a long stretch of time. And remember, even though it has that rejuvenation period that basically saves the carrier from getting into trouble financially because they've leveraged off these products so well, don't kid yourself. When you look at that, when you're getting 19 cents, 26 cents on the dollar for the cost that you're paying for, this is a huge deal for your clients. It can be something that can save them a lot of money. So I can't stress that enough, is that, a lot of people go, oh, that rejuvenation period, that's the scary thing. It's like, no, it isn't. It's first day coverage. And then after you use up a 1/10 of your overall plan, then you have that rejuvenation period that you're going to have to pay. But guess what? The alternative is what? You'd have to pay for it the whole time yourself. And that's the beauty of a plan like this, is planning ahead, having an option to say, trust me, we know the stats. You're going to probably use this plan, and when you do use it, you're going to love True Freedom. And I know that Chen, I won't make her jump back in, but I'll tell you what, this company's been around since 2008, so they've had experience already, and they've seen that people are using these plans and really being glad that they have the opportunity to use them. So I just want to make that point. And do you want me to jump right into the InstaPivot, Dennis, really quick, or just
Yeah, I think that just knowing again that we've talked in previous webinars about the tool that we have, and you can just see that True Freedom is on the left side, and just how powerful it is to again, know about state availability and know about who will actually take the case based on their health conditions.
Absolutely. Every health condition you'd have on any of these short-term care policies, insurance policies, or the home health care only policies, you can see here that the only X that you're going to find for True Freedom is that first one, talking about if they're already receiving care, et cetera, that we talked about in the suitability. So not only is it available in all 50 states, but it is also super easy for a lot of your clients to be able to get it when they wouldn't have any other options. So, and I'm not downplaying the plan by saying that. I'm just telling you that's one of the big pluses of this plan, is that anybody can get it just about, where the other products just don't do that. So as we go over here, Dennis, I'll let you steer this. This is the site. Just tell me where you want me to show.
Yeah, I think as you scroll down, this is a resource page that has everything on all the offering, the menu, the InstaPivot's right there that you can sign up for, and you have to register to get that. It's free. The short-term care initiative here, the home care, you get the True Freedom here, and if Tom clicks on that, you'll see again all of the availability. We're going to come back to this video in just a minute and watch it. Tom has a separate download, but you can see product highlights, presentation, marketing materials, those testimonials, those videos, everything that you need is there, and so that you can actually get this information. And as Tom's getting ready to share the video, Chen, maybe not that we have to go back to it, Tom, but when we're talking about base, and we know base is a fairly new offering, so there's not as much empirical data on base, but when you think about bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, how has that business been basically split? And you see these numbers all the time, so just helps the agents on the call here to know from a utilization what clients are actually gravitating towards.
Okay. So the most popular is the bronze and the silver. They take up about, a third, well, about 60% in total. Bronze and silver equally half. The other 40% is made up of the platinum and gold. I think the platinum's like 18, gold is like 20%, 22, something like that. Pretty even, but the bronze and silver is the most popular.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hey, Tom, yeah, this is the long road ahead. This is a video that's available to you to show consumers that will actually tee up that discussion for you. So let's take 2 minutes and watch this video.
Are you planning for your quality of life as you age? Here are the hard facts and straight answers about why you should. First, did you know 10,000 Americans turn 65 every day? And that at this rate, the country will have 78 million seniors by 2035, many of whom could live into their 90s? The fact that many of us are living longer is great news, but there are financial risks we need to recognize. For example, will you outlive your money? In other words, could healthcare costs strip away some or all of your income and assets partway through your retirement? The truth is, 80% of individuals 65 and older have at least one chronic condition, and 7 out of 10 will need help someday. An AARP survey confirmed that 86% of seniors want to remain at home as they grow older, and 6 out of 10 Americans said they would rather die than live in a nursing home. In these uncertain times, living in a nursing home leads to feelings of isolation, loneliness, and emotional distress. Even given all these facts, over 90% of seniors have never talked to a professional about planning for the future, a financial crisis just waiting to happen. Fortunately, there's a simple and affordable solution to allow seniors to age in place with home care services, ranging from 1 year and up to 10 years. True Freedom provides seniors with emotional and financial peace of mind. There is no medical underwriting, no health triggers, no age limits, same rate for all ages, field-issued contract, and 24/7 care provided. Plus, True Freedom works with top network home care agencies across the country. You owe it to yourself to explore the options that best suit your current and future needs, based on your health, budget, goals, and objectives. For more information and a no-obligation review, contact your True Freedom representative.
All right, go ahead, Dennis. I'm going to get back to where we.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. This video, we worked with our team. We have with part of our integrity, we have a great partner that is handles all of our public relations, and it was that team that worked with us to create that video that you can utilize. One of the things I just noticed that we didn't put on the site, Tom, and I'll ask our team to make sure we add it, is Chen. We worked with some scripting as far as that they could actually, when they send that video out with an email template to whether it's an existing client or whether it's a prospect. So, we'll make sure we add that so that that that's available, and certainly we could probably also list in that downline link so that they could actually download it themselves as well. But as Tom and I have talked about all the different offerings today, True Freedom is another important piece. It's again, we're in the problem-solving business, and we have to be a resource to clients. And you cannot let state limitation limit your ability to help clients, because we know that some states are a little bit tougher. But look for the opportunity, get with your marketer. And Tom, I know you've probably have a couple final thoughts, but I want to thank Chen for giving of her time today and for her expertise, and really, she's been so vital to the success that we've had. And we could spend a lot of time talking to you about some other things that we've done special with True Freedom as it relates to some associations and some enrollments. And it's been just a important product that fills that void that we need to have. And that no medical underwriting is certainly very important, but the state availability and the same rate for all ages, all those things factor into why True Freedom is just another important offering to have for your clients.
The next step is yours. Contact your marketer for more information and to start offering short-term care solutions to your clients. And be sure to sign up for our other short-term care hot topic webinars.